Hello, my name is Beck Power. I am from Power Creative Media, and today I'm answering the question, do I create enough content to get it repurposed? That is one I get sometimes. So in my agency, we repurpose content for all types of clients, and we actually repurpose all types of content as well. So sometimes people wonder, am I putting out enough content? And is it even worth repurposing? I think there's a couple of different things here. Firstly, if you're really new to online business and you're not putting out very much content and you are kind of just getting started, it might not be worth repurposing right now, because what you are doing right now is creating a lot of cornerstone content, and that's the type of thing that's like the why of your business. It's your vision. It's talking about who's your right audience and who isn't. That's a lot of content that you need to create so that you answer a lot of the questions that your audience has. But eventually, after you've been doing that a while, you realize that you're really saying the same things over and over again. And you've honed your message by then, and you've figured out a lot more stuff that you didn't know at the beginning. And so at that time, that's when I would start looking at repurposing, because you've got the same. I usually call them like 15 buckets, 15 or between 10 and 20 different buckets of things that you say over and over again. And so when you create those videos, you can repurpose those into lots of pieces. And when it comes to like how much content you're creating, it doesn't really matter hugely. So one of the things that we do is take content from our clients once a month, and we take probably 1 to 2 hours a month usually of content from them. That could be just a podcast interview where it makes them look like super badasses, knowing what they're talking about, like authorities, or it might be a video that they made, or maybe even a few different videos, like live videos or talks or things like that. So we got podcast interviews, we got talks, sometimes things like webinars, if they are not all shared screen things, because when you've got the shared screen, the clips look really small with your face in the corner. It doesn't really make a lot of sense out of context. We can take books are a really great thing to repurpose. I feel like people don't think about this enough. You can turn your book into like 1,000 pieces of social media content, each promoting your book. Mental. I love it. You could turn like blog posts and things like that into content, repurposed content as well. So there really is a lot of opportunity once you've figured out what it is that you are talking about regularly. So one of the exercises we go through is to figure out what your 15 buckets are. For example, I have like a list of, probably 70 different content topics that I want to talk about. They're things that randomly come to me. There might be questions or stuff like that. I have about 70 of those written down in one of my softwares somewhere. And if I was to go through it, I could divide it up, and I could probably divide it into a few different, categories that I talk about. And you could do that too. And once you have got things like interviews or things like longer, I would say more than 20 minutes usually, of things that you're talking about, it might be like interviews are really good, because most times people don't want to talk for 20 minutes or an hour on their own. But sometimes podcasts or videos, when you're talking about a whole concept or teaching something, you could pull a lot of really good golden nuggets out that are like 30 to 40 seconds type thing, and turn those into micro content. So things like videos, micro videos, audiograms, quote cards, GIFs and memes, engagement posts, different types of social posts, that type of thing. You could pull all of those out of your content. But really, when you're just starting out and you're not that sure of your message or who you're talking to, it's better to figure that out first. So we've got a few exercises that we do where you would refine what your message is and talk about your main, figure out your main 15-ish buckets of like content categories, and also do some customer research to see like what are all the questions that you get, what do people really want to know, who's the best type of person to work with you, who's not a good fit to work with you, who's not ready to work with you yet, but who might be ready to work with you in the future. These are all things that you really need to figure out before you start repurposing your content. But like I said, once you know those things, then it's time to churn out longer pieces of content, like books, like webinars, like podcast interviews. Either you interviewing somebody else or them interviewing you is better. Or, you doing longer podcast episodes on your own, or training videos, Facebook Lives, etc., and taking those and pulling out all the good bits. And then I would say, for most people, you should, I don't like the word should, but I would say a good recommendation or a guideline is to do a video or a piece of content anyway a week, and then have your team turn it into like 7 to 14 pieces of content that can go out daily or twice a day for you from each video or original piece of content that you're using. Now, that can be done once a month if that's more comfortable, or 2 weeks, or whatever. I think it's, because weeks are structured the way that they are, I think that once a week is fine, and making a 15-minute video or even a 5 or 10-minute video once a week is fine and good and worth it to repurpose. Well, if you know what you're doing, you're not just putting out random content. If you've got a bit of structure to it, put that out once a week or once a month, etc. And then have your team or my team repurpose that for you, so you don't need to show up every day constantly creating content. You're saying the same stuff you would say anyway, so you just need to turn it into different formats and play with it a little bit. That is my recommendation. Now, I do that. I do a video a day. I do a blog post a day. My team does. I do an email a day, and I do what's the other thing? I do a couple of, obviously, social media posts a day across multiple platforms. That's because I've been doing this a while, and it's the nature of my business. That's literally the nature of my business. If I wasn't putting stuff on social media, I would be a hypocrite. So I want to put out as much content as possible. I enjoy it. It's how I run my business, but you do have to do what works for you. And I think at the end of the day, you have to do what you enjoy. Otherwise, it's just never going to get done. So if you really hate social media, or you don't have time to be on it, or etc., but you know you need to be, do a video once a week and then send it to your team. I literally have a system. Reach out to me if you want to know more about it. A system that they can take one of your videos, turn it into all the social content, and post it for you, so that you don't need to be involved. I mean, that's the whole plan, right? So the question was, do you create enough content to get it repurposed? And the answer is probably, well, actually, I don't know. It depends on how much content you're putting out. But if you want to put out one piece of content a week or a month, like a bigger pillar piece, then yes, you would create, that's enough content to get repurposed. And if you're not putting out any pillar content, and you're just creating social posts, that's fine, but you're showing up having to create all these posts. So you might rather create one video or one audio or one long blog post or something like that, and have your team or my team repurpose it into a ton of micro content. Hopefully that is helpful. If you want help with repurposing your content, check out our site, powercreativemedia.com. We talk about repurposing content for you. We talk about helping you train your team, or rather us train your team to repurpose content for you. If you need help, powercreativemedia.com, and I will see you in the next video.